Most people think Adidas was always successful. They see the stripes, they see the athletes, they see the trophies. What they don't see is how close it came to being forgotten. There was a time when Adidas wasn't winning, not in the market, not in the culture, not even in its own confidence. It wasn't losing loudly, it was fading quietly. And quiet failure is the most dangerous kind. Because when things collapse slowly, no one sounds the alarm. You just wake up one day and realize the world has moved on without you. That almost happened to Adidas. Not because the product was bad, but because the story behind it was losing its place. Adidas was born from discipline, from craft, from a belief that small details mattered. But over time, the world changed, and Adidas didn't change with it. While competitors learned how to speak to people, Adidas kept speaking to itself, and the gap kept growing. Sales slipped, relevance faded. Young consumers stopped paying attention. In America, Adidas was losing badly. It wasn't cool. It wasn't exciting. It wasn't part of the conversation. And when a brand disappears from conversation, it disappears from people's lives. Inside the company, pressure grew. Decisions became harder. Every move felt risky. Should they change? Or should they stay who they were? That question haunted them. Because when you're struggling, every option feels like it might be the wrong one. Adidas wasn't just fighting competitors, it was fighting identity. Were they still the company that knew sport? Or had the world moved past what they stood for? There were moments when leadership didn't know the answer. And when the people at the top are unsure, everyone below feels it. The fear doesn't show on the outside, but it settles deep. Adidas tried to fix things with numbers, with products, with strategies. But the real problem wasn't something you could spreadsheet, it was emotional. People didn't feel Adidas anymore. And when people stop feeling something, it stops mattering. There's a strange loneliness in that kind of failure. Not dramatic, not loud, just slow disappearance. Yet, inside all of that uncertainty, something small remained. Belief. Not loud belief, not confident belief, just enough to keep moving. Adidas didn't have a miracle moment. It had a decision, a quiet one, to stop chasing what it wasn't and start remembering what it was. They didn't try to outshout everyone else. They didn't try to become something artificial. They went back to roots, sport, athletes, movement, human effort. They chose to reconnect instead of compete. And that choice changed everything. Not immediately, not dramatically, but slowly. They began listening. They began collaborating. They began caring about how people actually lived and moved. They didn't try to win overnight. They tried to stay. And sometimes, staying is the bravest move. There were still setbacks, still mistakes, still uncertainty. But now there was direction. And direction, even slow, is powerful. Adidas didn't come back because the world suddenly noticed them. They came back because they stayed long enough for the world to notice again. That's how real change happens. Quietly, patiently, with more doubt than confidence. Adidas walked through the season where it didn't know if it would be chosen again. And somehow, it kept going. That's the part no one celebrates. Not the victory, not the spotlight, the waiting, the rebuilding, the moments when nothing feels certain but you refuse to disappear. And maybe that's why this story matters, because we all go through phases where we feel unseen, where the results aren't loud, where the progress isn't obvious, where it feels like everyone else is moving forward while we're standing still. Adidas was there, and it didn't quit. It didn't reinvent itself to be loud. It returned to who it was to be real. And over time, real always lasts longer than noise. If you're walking through a season where things feel slow, where growth feels invisible, where doubt feels louder than belief, remember this. Some of the most important journeys aren't about how fast you move, they're about how long you stay. If this story felt familiar, it probably means you're walking through something too. If you want more stories like this, subscribe to Walk Through It. We don't rush the path, we walk through it.